Sky Revelis here, writer and enthusiast of dark fiction, and today I'm going to answer some of your frequently asked questions. What is going on with Checkmate? Checkmate has been an extremely involved project, probably one of the most challenging that I've ever tried to tackle. I'm writing the music, I'm doing the voice acting, I'm doing the narration, I'm doing all the illustrations, everything is me. I do not have the skill set currently to be able to bang out a chapter constantly. So what is happening with Checkmate? I'm doing the best that I can. Don't expect regular updates. I will update it every so often. I am working on chapter 2. I have not forgotten, don't you worry in that regard, but don't expect regular updates, expect sporadic updates. Is year 2 of Dark and Balance really going to be much scarier than year 1? Yes. I am planning on making the story intensity only go up with each year. I mean, the year is not in the truest sense. Like, it's not like 2026 is going to come around and we're automatically on year 2. We will be starting year 2 soon with In His Eyes, which is already going in a more disturbing direction. You may be thinking it's kind of hard to compete with what happened in the Romophobia's Treachery and also what happened in Sliced, but I'm using Dark and Balance for some of the darkest ideas that I have, some of the most twisted, some of the most horrific, so it only gets worse or more intense from here. Are there going to be shorter stories that are as intense as Dark and Balance, or maybe even more intense? Yes, I plan on creating a dedicated playlist to shorter stories that are on the extreme side. Now, when I say extreme, everything is going to be in the scope of YouTube guidelines, and I'm not a writer that likes to shock you for the sake of shocking you or disgust you for the sake of disgusting you. So when I say intense, there will be merit to it being intense. Like, I don't just do it for the sake of doing it. But if it is more on the lines of the intensity of Dark and Balance, I do plan on making a dedicated playlist to those. Because I don't want people to traumatize themselves needlessly or to trigger themselves if they already have trauma. I want things to be divided in a way that is respectful, that not everyone is going to want to get thoroughly scared. Am I going to really keep integrating everything into everything? Is everything going to be part of the same literary cosmos? Yes. I like the idea of having it be so you can go on any playlist you want to and have an idea of the story going on in the literary cosmos, the overall story, and not be penalized for not wanting to partake in a particular genre. Because, like I said, some people don't do well with horror that's intense. Some people don't really care about dark fantasy, which is fine. I don't take offense to it. We all have our preferences. And as I bring more genres into the mix as this channel grows, I don't want anyone to feel like they have to watch everything to know what's going on. I will say that if you skip ahead in a dedicated playlist, there is a chance you will be confused, but you don't have to watch all the playlists to understand the full story. It's just a bonus if you feel like binging and getting the full collective of what is happening. Then you can watch all the playlists, but you don't have to feel like you have to know what's going on. Where do I begin? You begin wherever you want to, really. I would recommend starting with a playlist. If you just find a random video, there is a possibility you are going to be confused. Unless it is the first video of a certain story, or if it is a standalone, like, one-shot video type of story. But where do you begin? Wherever you want to. Just pick a playlist and press play. Am I planning on having a bigger playlist for dark fantasy? Yes. Originally, I was planning on having Checkmate be the first story in a bigger playlist of fantasy stories, like Dark and Balance, but dark fantasy, and I was going to call it Light and Balance. The name of that playlist has not changed. I still plan on calling it Light and Balance, but Checkmate is just too involved, and I would be making you wait an eternity for the Light and Balance playlist if I were going to have Checkmate be the first story no matter what. So I've created a separate playlist just for Checkmate because it's going to be its own epic, and I will release that sporadically, like I said. Hopefully as time goes on I'll be able to do it more regularly, but it won't be regular in the truest sense. It's a huge project, and I completely underestimated how much work and effort is going to go into Checkmate, so That's going to be its own thing. Hopefully later on down the line, especially if you're watching this in the future, it's more regularly updated. But yes, I have a playlist coming up that is called Light and Balance, which is going to be as involved as Dark and Balance, but it's going to be dark fantasy. The first story in that playlist is going to come out once Self-Reflection is done. Self-Reflection is one of my stories. I'm not talking about me having to stare into the mirror to figure out what I want to do next. Self-Reflection is one of these stories that is dark fantasy. It is one of the diary entry stories, or journal entry stories. The first of that playlist. And when that is done, I will begin Light and Balance. I'm already brainstorming. I've already started kind of writing where I want to go with it. Self-Reflection is already written fully, but it is not fully released. Once it is fully released, I will start really going into getting Light and Balance going. When is In His Eyes coming out? I want to treat In His Eyes as a proper production. I want to release trailers. I want to have all 4 parts done before I even release the trailer, before I even release part 1. I've learned how bad it makes me feel if I take too long to update a story. So I'm trying to avoid ever doing that again. Like, the diary entry stuff I pretty much designed to have a constant funnel of content going, because those are relatively easy for me to write, they're relatively easy to record. It's just a single person reading a diary page. It doesn't require as much voice acting or narration or thought or production. So it's easier to do, but there is still some production and effort that goes into it, as you can see if you watch the playlist. Blood Drops is the horror equivalent to that story, I guess I would say. It's another diary entry format type of thing. Blood Drops is more light-hearted horror. It has some messed up moments. It is also intended for a mature audience, like this entire channel really, but Blood Drops is more light-hearted comparatively. And if you don't like horror in the truest sense, I guess, where you're thinking like blood and gore and intense violence and just trying to make you feel uncomfortable and scared, Blood Drops isn't really that. It does have moments of gore and intense violence, so to speak, but it's laced with dark humor. It is done in a way that is not designed to make you feel disgusted. It's not over the top. Like, I have several people I know who will say like they're not truly into horror. Dark Balance is intimidating to them. They don't think they'll be okay with it, and they're fine with Blood Drops, and they love Blood Drops, so you'll be fine. What are my thoughts on AI? I mean, I am an artist. Like an actual artist. I also am a writer, an actual writer. So my thoughts on AI are as follows. AI is an extremely broad topic. If we're talking about AI as a whole, not just generative AI and AI art, AI in that regard has its benefits and is not going anywhere. It is also not new, and it has been around since computers started being a thing in different forms and in different evolutions. If we are specifically talking about generative AI, I am against it for ethical reasons, and I hate the way it looks aesthetically. Even if it were more ethically sourced, even if it were more regulated, I would still have no interest in it because I think it's ugly. I would say to each their own, but like, we're literally talking about ethics, so I hate it. And anyone who understands the lack of ethics currently as it stands in current AI, generative AI models, should also hate it. And even if you're going to be insensitive, you should realize that it's only a matter of time before something is created to steal from you. What about the other stories that people voted on? Well, after In His Eyes, I have all the results of that contest still down, so the order of the winning, like the order, how do I word this?
I talk good.
In terms of votes, In His Eyes got the most votes. Then after that came The Realm of Phobia's The Vengeful Knives. That's going to come after In His Eyes. And then after that is going to be Sliced Awakening, because that got the third highest number of votes. And then after that is going to be Hellward Bound. So this is going to be year 2 of Dark and Balance. The viewers, the fellow Darklings, got to choose the stories that are going to be in year 2. So after In His Eyes is done, you'll see the other winners in their own time. Is Skyrivellis a character or an alias? Yes, it is both. Skyrivellis is my alias or pen name for when I'm doing creative projects. It is also a character in my literary cosmos. I try to distinguish the two by making it so if it is me, like the human being, I'm not wearing makeup, I'm talking to you face to face. If it is a character, then there's a costume involved, body paint, makeup, something. That is how I try to distinguish the two. Do I plan on ever having other people do voice acting and narration? Yes, I tried it once upon a time. I had some people who I'm close to said if they wanted to try, by all means. Not everyone is good at voice acting, so you do have to hold auditions. At this current stage of the channel, it's not worth holding auditions. I don't have a budget to pay voice actors. So at this point in time, I'm just gonna Mel Blanc it, so to speak. I can do several voices and accents. I'm gonna keep doing them. Later on in time, probably. I'll probably hold auditions. I'll probably get different people in on these projects as the channel grows, as the production value increases, etc., etc. But for now, no. Later, probably. But even when I do integrate more voice actors, I'm still going to want to do voice acting myself because I love it. I can do a lot of voices and different accents and such, so I am still going to be part of it even once I can get people in on it. I think your stuff is interesting, but I am Christian. Am I going to be offended by your work? Oh yeah, you will. Not in the truest sense, like you're not going to literally be attacked, but I come from a background of Christianity and I left the church for several reasons. So I'm very critical of Christianity in particular, and you will see that reflected in my work. So, probably not for you. It's probably guaranteed that my work is going to piss you off if you're Christian. Where do I get my artwork from? I make my artwork for my videos in 3 ways. 1, I will find copyright-free images provided by places like Pixabay, Pexels, etc. that give you permission to use photos, videos, vectors that they provide and edit them and use them in your videos, etc. 2, I will take one of those that I just mentioned and then add artwork on top of it, because I myself am an artist, and even if I'm not fully drawing on top of it with a drawing tablet, I will create extensive edits and things of that nature, so you probably won't even recognize the original piece that I got from an open source platform. I would say that that's probably the majority of what you see, is a sort of hybrid of copyright-free imagery that I then added an additional artistic twist to. Probably like 70% is that's what you'll see. And then the third is artwork that I create completely myself, or I create in collaboration with another artist. So like things from different photo shoots that I've been in, things from different events that I've been invited to, body paint pieces that I've created, drawings that I've done on a drawing tablet, drawings that I've done with pen and paper, pencil, etc. Those are the 3 types of artwork that you will see. My audio, for the most part, is from the YouTube audio library. I also will use my own compositions from time to time, particularly with Checkmate. Everything that you hear in Checkmate is composed by me. That's another reason why it takes as long to make. And there are other stories where I will probably compose things here and there as well. Do I plan on making more general life advice videos in the future? Yes, but not with this channel. I want to create a different channel for giving life advice because I like helping people. I've been through a lot of shit, and if I can use that to help people, then wonderful. But that is not for Skyrivellis. I will make an announcement when that channel goes up, but for now, no, not on this channel. Do I plan on making more art advice videos and more behind the dark veil videos. Yes, I plan on making... Yes to the behind the dark veil videos. No to the art advice videos. The reason is this is not an education channel. If it is a question that people want me to answer, maybe I could like touch it briefly in a behind the dark veil video, maybe. But this is not an education channel, this is an entertainment channel, so I'm not going to be educating you on different painting techniques, etc. I tried when I was still trying to get a vibe of like what I wanted to do with Skyrivellis, but no, this is a writing first brand, so stories are what you're gonna get. No more advice videos. As for behind the dark veil, yeah, probably. Whether or not you'll be seeing more of Dad Revellis or other guests is to be seen. But yes, I will give you more behind the scenes details, little snippets to keep you going for those who are interested. So yeah. Do I plan on adding other genres besides horror and dark fantasy? Yes, over time. I have like a memo and different milestones that I'm trying to reach, and I very heavily calculated and like constantly trying to plan and analyze data and such. But as certain milestones are reached, as certain levels of growth with the channel are reached, as I get to certain points in the stories, I will add more. I want to have light and balance going a bit. I want to have dark and balance further along. I want to have the diary series, both of them going a bit before I add another larger series. What I'm thinking of doing when I do get to that point is dark mystery, which I'm going to call Pale Imbalance. But that is to be seen. Am I planning on writing books, proper books that you can purchase, that you can read, like in bookstores, etc.? Yes, actually, I am a writer. I have different books that I have in the works. Those stories I want to be separate from this literary cosmos. I don't want people to feel that they have to go across various platforms to know what's going on. I want each platform that you can find my work to be standalone. So the stories that I'm working on that I want to get in books, like published as books, are not directly related to the literary cosmos I have going on YouTube. But yes, I do plan on releasing those in book format. Also, the longer series, like Dark and Balance, for example, I do want to release in a printed format, but it's going to be connected to this channel or a supplement for it. Like, it's going to be directly related to these stories, whereas ones that are published first and they're not going to be on this channel are going to be standalone. You've used Japanese in a few different stories. Are you planning on using any of the other languages that you speak? Oh yeah, definitely. I plan on integrating different language stuff here and there when it's necessary or relevant. Japanese right now has been the only one that has made sense to integrate because some stories take place in Japan, so it makes sense to have some Japanese here and there since I speak it, why not? When stories happen that take place in Germany or Austria, you'll hear German. Stories that take place in France or Quebec, etc., you'll hear French. You might hear some Chinese later on down the line, Spanish, etc. It's just whenever it is relevant is when you're going to hear it. Do I have straight characters? Yes, I do. I realize that the majority of characters that you've been seeing lately have been gay. And the biggest reason for that is, in self-reflection, it literally is a story about a guy who at first is falling in love with his reflection. Like, it kind of starts as a story where he goes the way of Narcissus. So logically, he's male, it has to be gay. Also, unapologetically, I'm gay, so like, you're going to see a lot of rainbow community representation. Blood Drops is also, like, the main vampire is an unapologetic sodomite, as he calls himself, so super gay as well. Do I have straight characters? It's such a funny question whenever I get... Yes, of course I do. Whenever it is relevant or it makes sense for a character to be straight, they're going to be straight. If it makes sense for them to be trans, they're going to be trans. If it makes sense for them to be bi, gay, whatever. Different walks of life exist in the world. Representation is very important to me. Is my work ever political? art in itself is political, whether you are going out of your way to make a political statement or you're just simply choosing the type of art you want to make, either directly or indirectly. Art is political. There's no way around it. If you're asking if my stuff is going to be blatantly political, I mean, if it makes sense for the story, like if it goes into the politics of the society in this story, then yeah. But am I going to force it into a story? Never. It's just tacky. It also annoys me whenever that happens. Does my poetry that I post on here reflect my real thoughts? Poetry is always from the perspective of the speaker of the poem. It is not necessarily the poet. And poetry is also for interpretation. So even if a poem seems to be critical or political or something like that, it's not necessarily my views. It could just be a speaker. It could be something that I'm writing in the perspective of one of my characters. So not really. Maybe, but not really. Do I plan on doing dark comedy? Yeah, I mean, whenever I can add moments of levity, I enjoy doing that. Like, Blood Drops has a lot of really humorous moments of dark comedy and levity.
Down the hill and onward, until he was run over by an oncoming train. Oh well. Not my house, not my problem.
Checkmate as it goes along does as well, but again, it's such an involved project. I do want to create a playlist dedicated to dark comedy specifically, but that'll be later on in time. I'm still working out logistics. I would want to do the Pale and Balance that I mentioned first, dark mystery first, before dabbling into dark comedy, but it is something that I plan on doing that I want to do as well. Well, I think that answers all the questions that I've been getting recently, so there you have it. If you have any questions you want me to answer about specific stories, look, English good. If you have any questions you want me to answer about specific stories, please leave them in the comments. Subscribe to see more dark stories. I upload every Friday. And I will see you in the next video.
They're like, oh! Like, this is a conspiracy. Earth is a mystery. The planet Earth is a lie. The gays staged the Earth landing.